Hello all, welcome back to our course on digital accessibility, and in this last week we are going to talk about some more allied topics related to accessibility and how it can enhance other aspects of web development such as SEO, etc. And today we are going to kind of dive deep into how accessibility impacts usability and SEO both. So, those of you if you don't know what is the meaning of SEO, it is search engine optimization, and which is a very important part of large scale dissemination and marketing, and making sure that your product, if it's a web based product, or information about your product reaches to a large number of audience. So, how accessibility impacts usability and SEO? It's a triple win. It provides better access, it provides better experience, and it does provide better ranking as well in terms of SEO algorithms. So, let us understand the connection between these three. So, SEO, usability and accessibility. So, what are the three goals which are overlapping? So, accessibility is mainly talking about that the content is usable by everyone, right. Usability is talking about the efficient and easy to use experience of your content, and SEO is high search rankings. The overlaps is that accessibility and usability together makes content accessible. Usability and SEO together enables high quality content at a higher rank as well as efficient experience, and SEO and accessibility together they bring together a structured content. So, in the center there is structure, accessible and high quality content, which is the triple overlap of all of these three. Only high quality content kind of goes into an overlap of SEO and usability. SEO and accessibility overlaps into a structured content. If it is structured correctly, then only it will appear in ranking algorithms properly. Usability and accessibility kind of result in accessible content, and all three together they result in structured, accessible and high quality content, and which is what we want our product to be, right. And we also have been talking about robustness and the multi-device usage of any particular web-based product, and most of the users, they are not just accessing websites on their laptops now, they are also doing it on their phones, or they are also doing it on their televisions, etc. right. So, multi-device robustness is something which is part of our POUR principle. Remember, the R stands for robust, which is cross platform robustness also, which is very important part of accessibility. So, how people access the web today? So, smartphones contribute over 60%, around 63% of web traffic, tablets around 4%, desktops around 30%, and smartwatches, TVs, IoT, other devices are growing rapidly. So, user behavior basically states that average person uses 3+ devices daily, which involves largely a smartphone, maybe a wearable and a television or other IoT devices, etc. 67% start task on one device and finish on the other device. So, this is a very important statistic that any even the data, if you've started a form on your computer and then you started filling a form, but you didn't complete it in your office time or in that moment, and then you kind of revisit the same website or the same form on your phone, it should be filled halfway. That's what your expectation is, and then you complete the remaining things and submit. This is a very common behavior. I think all of us can very well relate to it. And then common is also statistically evident with over 67% people doing the same thing. So, mobile first for browsing or desktop for complex tasks or the other way around. The challenge is that accessibility must work seamlessly across all devices and platforms. So, this is very important, particularly most of the products today are web based, portal based, etc., and all of them are, even the applications, they are not storing data on your device, they are storing data on the cloud. So, all of those things matter when we are talking about accessibility and cross platform robustness. So, what is cross platform accessibility? We have to understand that as well. The device switching journey, right. So, let's talk about an average user. Let's call her Sarah. Low vision, she's a low vision user. So, in the morning she uses smartphone, she uses iOS, VoiceOver and Zoom to check email, on bus, needs large touch targets, high contrast, screen reader support, all of this she's requesting. Afternoon, she's largely working in her office space, uses Windows, screen magnifier, keyboard navigation for work needs, and then the accessibility needs are keyboard shortcuts, resizable text, consistent experience with the smartphone. In the evening, she's back home, uses her tablet, maybe lying on her sofa, uses Android TalkBack to watch educational videos, so captions, touch friendly controls, gestures, alternatives, etc. The requirement is that the same content and same accessibility, different platforms. So, Sarah shouldn't have to relearn your interface on each device. So, this is very important. This is what we call cross platform accessibility. So, let us move on to the specific features, which is platform specific accessibility features. Some of them we have already discussed when we were talking about different platform related evaluations. And what each platform kind of enables and what are the limitations of each platform. So, what each platform offers is that iOS accessibility, they are able to offer VoiceOver, Zoom, voice control, display accommodation. So, Zoom here is the zoom option where you can zoom and enlarge printed text, right. So, it is something that low vision individuals use. Display accommodations, color filters, assistive touch, switch control, spoken content, all of those things. Then Android accessibility, it has talkback, it has magnification, the same Zoom is called magnification here, the voice access, switch access, live transcribe, sound amplifier, speech navigation, all of those things. Then we have Windows accessibility. So, narrator, magnifier, speech recognition, eye control, high contrast themes, sticky keys, filter keys, etc. Mac OS accessibility, again VoiceOver, Zoom, voice control, switch control, increase contrast and dictation mode also. So, these are few of the things which all of them offer. Of course, specific applications have their own accessibility features, but these are OS level accessibility features which we are talking about. So, now let us talk about, since now we know that each platform has its own benefits, and we also have established that user largely like to switch between devices and many a times OS also and ecosystems also, depending on their convenience and the availability of the device with them. So, now that we have established the need for a cross platform accessibility, we must understand what are the challenges pertaining to cross-platform accessibility. So, first very evident part is that the different screen sizes. A phone offers a very small 5 to 7 inch screen size, tablet is about 8 to 13 inches, desktop may be 13, 14 plus, it can go up to bigger screens also. Touch targets, text size, layouts have to adapt, be responsive, right? This is the biggest challenge of all. Then different input methods or interaction methods, right? So, there may be touch screen based interface in a phone or a tablet, then there be mouse or keyboard in a desktop, there may be voice command based interaction in a television or again on your smartphone. Switch devices, eye tracking, etc., they are used in other in desktops and all of those others. So, all supports must be all inputs must be supported and different OS capabilities. So, Android versus iOS assistive tech differences are there. Windows versus Mac OS screen reader variations are there. Browser engine also differs. So, testing across all combinations is required, and this is something that we have discussed in detail in 2 or 3 lectures pertaining to industry level accessibility audit and evaluation. Please go back to those lectures if you want to know more about testing across multiple combinations of these platforms. And you will find a lot of content about this particular point there. So, these are the particular challenges which pertain to cross-platform accessibility. So, now we are saying that okay, responsive or adaptive design is the answer, right? It is quite evident, but to make it, it's not that easy, and we have to be very careful about the layouting and all of those things. And then we will also try to understand what is the difference between adaptive and responsive design. They are not the same, kindly do not use it interchangeably, but both have both can be accessible in their own ways. So, first is of course flexible layout, so no horizontal scrolling at any size. So, right, that side. Content reflows for screen magnification, works on any device, scalable text, users can increase text size, readable from phone to desktop, always legible, touch friendly targets, so minimum size you have ensured 44 by 44 point, works on all touch devices, easy to tap everywhere. So, the truth is responsive design isn't really optional, it's fundamental mobile accessibility, and it is also equivalent or to it also ensures all platforms accessibility. So, let us come to this image and let us try to understand what is the meaning of responsive and adaptive. Both are accessible. So, in a responsive design, content adapts to screen size and device capabilities. So, if you see universal design which reflows across displays, and then here the adaptive design is generate templates which are optimized and unique for each device class. So, basically the layout is also changing. So, if you see these parts are coming over here if it is a vertical kind of a screen. In a mobile this vanishes and it kind of becomes a drop down or something. So, it becomes less cluttered. However, a responsive design is just kind of adjusting the same layout in the different sizes of the screen. But both work depending on your product and your website, you can choose which one to apply and which one to carry forward. Touch versus keyboard versus voice navigation. So, multiple interaction methods. Touch navigation enables, is enabled in mobile and tablet largely. So, there is some requirements of minimum target size, and there has to be some spacing between two targets so that you mistakenly don't press the other one. Gesture alternatives are required, visual feedback on touch, or audio feedback also it can be. So once you have touched it, it has to be an audio or a vibratory feedback, tactile feedback, or an audio feedback, to let the user know that you have already touched it, the target. Keyboard navigation. So all interactive elements are reachable via tab, visible focus indicators, logical tab order, keyboard shortcuts are available, voice navigation on all platforms are required, right. So tap button, if you say tap space, this works on mobile, this works on everything. If you say click, X works on desktop. All elements must have accessible names. So every feature must work with all of these kind of input interactive methods. So you have to ensure, in order to ensure this cross platform responsiveness, you have to ensure that all interactive elements, buttons, links, clickable items, drop downs, everything is accessible through all of these methods. Then there is something called Progressive Web Apps, PWAs, the cross platform solution, which basically uses one code base, but then has some features which are enabling access across platforms. So what are PWAs? Web apps that work like native apps across all devices. So this has largely become the norm, and most of these flight like ClearTrip and all of these, if you see, they look like applications, but they are actually web based applications. All of the internet banking apps, they are also all web apps, but they work like or look like native apps. So what are the accessibility advantages? One is that single code base equals to consistent accessibility. It works across OS, doesn't depend on OS because it's a web based app, right. So then it also has some offline functionality, installable like native apps. Built-in accessibility. So some use web standards like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. WCAG compliance applies everywhere because it is a web-based app. Screen readers work natively. Same experience across platforms, which is the most important part. So example, Twitter PWA, or Starbucks app, Pinterest, Spotify, all of these are, if you open on a laptop or if you open on a phone, you would be able to understand that it is all are web-based apps. PWAs basically eliminate platform fragmentation, platform dependency also. So I think this is something that we have already kind of discussed in one more lecture, where we are talking about testing across platforms and what needs testing. So on each platform, different kinds of things require testing. So for example, on an iOS, the screen reader is VoiceOver, the browser is Safari, and priority is critical. Android is the TalkBack, browser is Chrome, and it is also critical. Windows and Mac OS have their own screen readers, so NVDA and VoiceOver. They have Chrome, Edge, Safari, Chrome, and they also have high priority. Desktop can be JAWS and all of these browsers. It is medium. So the reality is that 30 plus combinations. So if you kind of make permutation combinations of all of these platforms and try to think about combinations of usage, more than 30 combinations may exist. So teams test 5 to 8 critical ones. The strategy usually is that you test iOS plus Safari and you test Android plus Chrome first, spot check Windows plus NVDA, and then automated tools for baseline. So then let us talk about the native apps versus web apps, PWAs, accessibility trade-offs. So write which one to choose and choosing the right approach. So for native apps, the pros and cons would be that full access to platform accessibility APIs. You can there are these built-in APIs which you can access. Best performance with assistive technology, existing systems, platform specific gestures work perfectly because you can access the OS level APIs. Cons is that must build separately for iOS and Android. It's because it's a native app. And it has been this way for a very long time, but now people are moving more and more towards PWAs, which are web-based apps, because iOS and Android also they are punching out patches and updates so quickly that it is very difficult to catch up. And even companies want to reduce dependency on these OS-based organizations. So then different code, different accessibility bugs. So there has to be two sets of evaluation, two sets of teams developing for the same application, higher maintenance cost. So a hybrid approach. Similarly, for web-based or PWAs, the pros are that single code base for all platforms. Web standards apply unanimously, easier to maintain because the consistency of experience you can ensure. Accessibility audit is also easier. Cons is that may lack some native features because your web-based applications are not able to access the OS level APIs. Then browser differences create variations. Slightly less responsive than native, but still I think the performance is very good. The answer is probably a hybrid approach, so React Native and Flutter. So one code base applies to native apps, balance between consistency and high performance. So the decision depends on resources, target users and features needed, okay, but you choose which one applies to your needs better. So the Google Core Web Vitals connection. So now we'll come back to our core topic of SEOs and how Google's user experience metrics affect search rankings. So how accessibility affects performance rankings, etc. So there are largely three metrics. So LCP, which is the largest contentful paint, how fast main content loads. So accessible sites, because the images are optimized, there's largely not a lot of scrollable material, there's not a lot of clutter on the main page or one page. Optimized images with alt text load faster. Result better LCP scores. FID, then the second metric is FID, which is first input delay. How quickly page responds to interaction. So accessible, if your site is accessible, then that means that the semantic HTML is already in place, and that means that it is more responsive. Thus, it will result in better FID scores, and that also kind of shifts your metrics. Then the third metric is CLS, which is cumulative layout shift. So how stable page layout is during loading, right? So if you load or reload, is the screen like crashing, or it's like the layout is becoming fragmented? We might have seen it in some of the websites. So accessible websites are properly structured. The heading is structured and prevents shifts here and there. That results in a better CLS scores. So the connection is accessible code is equal to faster, more stable web pages, and thus higher rankings. So following accessibility standards will directly influence all of these metrics. If you've made the web page accessible, it will automatically fulfill these criteria and will result in better rankings. So, and then there is some real examples also. What happens when you fix accessibility? So, first is Legal and General, so L&G Insurance. So, they fixed accessibility barriers which resulted in 50% more organic traffic, 95% fewer accessibility issues. Then second case can be Virgin Atlantic. They made their website more accessible, which resulted in additional revenue in that particular year. Barclays Bank, they did an accessibility redesign which improved their SEO rankings by a big margin, and there was almost a 20% increase in search traffic. Microsoft has always been accessibility first, and the result is always better search visibility, increased mobile engagement, etc. So, the pattern that we see in these examples is that accessibility investment is always going to give you good and measurable economic and business returns. It is not a cost center, it is a profit center. So, structured data and accessibility, where we are talking about one code which is kind of more structured. So, code that tells search engines what content means, right. So, if our data is structured, the search engine algorithms will be able to navigate through those content a little bit better. So, it is able to help the search engine optimization algorithms go through it and then identify content structure clearly and helps screen reader also navigate. So, I think we have had a discussion about this in much detail, where we spoke about accessibility architecture and how with every tab what should be the next logical heading and subheading, etc., right. So, that also once that is done in a web based portal or an application, the search engine algorithms are also able to navigate through those architecture trees with much more ease and identify the semantic meaning of those structures with much more ease. So, SEO benefits is that rich snippets come in search results, featured snippets opportunities are there, voice search optimization is much better. So, screen readers announce Q&A and Google shows answers in search. That is also good way to do it. Breadcrumb list, clear navigation, search path, search results path. So, bonus is that same markup serves accessibility and SEO both. So, if you have a structured data, structured layout, structured architecture, information architecture, it is going to help both accessibility and screen reader navigation as well as SEO and related navigation. So, voice search and accessibility now, with more and more NLP based and voice based technologies, and it being a big support for people who are visually impaired or people who have motor disabilities, it is also very impactful assistive technology as well. So, the rise of voice is now we are seeing with very optimized natural language algorithms available and large LLMs which are supporting those NLPs. So, 50% of searches today are voice based, and smart speakers are there in almost 35% of US homes. It is increasing globally. Voice search is growing 35% annually. Why accessible sites rank better? So, because it is supporting natural language, so accessible, that means simple, clear content for cognitive disabilities. It is able to match conversational queries. For example, how do I reset my password and not password reset? So it is able to, you are able to ask in a more natural, grammatically correct way. You will be able to interact with the system. Question answer format is being enabled through this voice interaction, so which is also again accessible. So clear headings and answers help screen readers to search for the right section. Voice search featured in voice results. So example is a level 2 question plus paragraph answer. Accessible structured content, proper heading hierarchy makes the content accessible. Then it is also easy for assistants to extract voice search. So example, if you have a proper heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 structure, Google can parse it easily. So optimizing for screen readers is automatically going to optimize it for Alexa/Siri voice based search, and thus it will also increase your SEO rankings. Now let us come to form accessibility and conversion rates. So there is like a major banking app audit which we have taken as an example. So why accessible forms convert better? So most of the websites which are banking related, they may have some forms. Common barriers may be unlabeled fields, poor error message, or no keyboard navigation, etc. Accessibility fixes, clear labels on every field, helpful error messages with suggestions, full keyboard support, instructions before fields, etc. The impact is that 60%, 67% of the people abandon confusing forms and they don't complete it. Clear forms increase completion by 50%, and lower bounce rates improve SEO rankings to a much higher rate. Mobile first indexing and accessibility. So Google's mobile first world. Now in the recent years, it is very evident that Google ranks sites based on their mobile versions and not just the desktop version. So now we have to ensure mobile accessibility also, and if the touch targets are small, Google penalizes small button, your rankings will be lower. So it is how much it is beneficial to just comply with WCAG guidelines and accessibility norms and benchmarks, not just to enable accessibility but also to enable better SEO rankings and better SEO performance, is something which we are kind of trying to equate, that accessibility automatically benefits SEO performance. Readable text, non-intrusive elements, so pop-up that block content, they hurt rankings. Fast loading, so accessible sites, they automatically load faster. Responsive design, so content that adapts to screen sizes, they get better rankings. So that means the mobile accessibility is equal to better mobile SEO and hence higher rankings. So initially it was desktop first indexing, so Google would crawl desktop version first and determines the ranking for mobile and desktop. But now mobile first indexing, they crawl the mobile version first and determines the ranking for mobile and desktop. No mobile version, crawl desktop version. So if there is no mobile version, then it is a problem. So content accessibility drives engagement. So this is, I think, that is what we're trying to establish in this session, that the engagement and ranking loop. If the accessible, so how does it work? So the step one is make content accessible. If their headings are clear, its language is simple, good structure, all of those things, it will automatically engage more users. So they will stay on the page for longer duration, they will bounce less, the lower bounce rates, they will engage with more pages per sessions. So all of these indicate better SEO signals. Step 3, Google notices this and it will automatically increase your user engagement metrics, site quality score increases and the rankings improve. And the step 4 automatically then happens is that higher rankings, it appears more on your searches, more visitors, more visibility, more users benefits and the cycle repeats. So the real data now we are seeing that accessible sites see 30% longer average session duration. So the loop is accessibility, engagement, ranking, traffic, repeat. Better accessibility, better engagement, better ranking, more traffic, and that cycle keeps repeating. Let us talk about international SEO and accessibility. So global reach through accessibility is also something, if you now with globalization, all products, if they're web based, they can be opened globally also. So language accessibility is one of the things that people are looking at. Lang attribute helps screen readers pronounce correctly. Google identifies pages for search, page language for search results, multi-language sites rank better in local searches. Cultural considerations, so RTL, like for example, RTL support for Arabic and Hebrew, date format variations which may change globally, currency and measurement systems, other technical implementations, so href lang tags for language versions and proper character encoding accessible across all languages. So global accessibility will increase your global SEO and hence also widen your worldwide reach. Measuring the triple impact. So tracking success across all three. So accessibility metrics, we have already established, the WCAG, compliance scores, automated test results, user testing rates. Usability metrics, task completion rates, average time on page, customer satisfaction scores, they count as usability metrics. SEO metrics are organic search engine, search traffic, keyword ranking, conversion rates from the search. Tracking all three together, tracking the improvements in all three together should correlate across metrics. So the future with AI and accessibility is that now with AI powered accessibility, auto-generated alt text, real-time captions, voice to text everywhere, automatic content simplification. The new reality is that AI translates between content and search engine and users. So, but the constant still remains the semantic HTML, the clarity of the content, the logic, which is still, we discussed in one of the earlier sessions also, that still AI is not able to do. These fundamentals serve as humans, search engines as well as AI, and contributes to LLMs also. So the message is that accessibility is future proof. Build accessible today and be ready for tomorrow. And so basically with AI and accessibility, we are talking about personalized experiences, we are talking about content-based readability, we're talking about adaptive layout. So all of those things not only increases accessibility but also enhances search engine rankings, increases engagement, increases cross platform accessibility and robustness, increases your voice based interaction and all of those things, and thus engages users more, reaches wider user base. So the core idea is that we have to build accessible products today so that we are ready for a better engagement for tomorrow. So that is all for this session. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you for joining.